in favor of your interests.
But aren't working class people also
people who are going to
of
be
color?
confused.
Why is it just men? Women are working class as well, you realize.
No, of course, but we're speaking about masculinity and why, right, the topic at hand is why is it that the Republican Party is the party of guys who are, you know, that talk about masculinity in traditional terms, that speak about courage, that speak about getting after it.
Bill Maher shocks his audience by admitting defeat and concedes the 2024 elections to Donald Trump. Last week, on a Real Time with Bill Maher episode, Bill Maher's audience did not like how Bill Maher pointed out the latest numbers and that it's not looking good for Kamala Harris. Guest Buck Sexton explained to Laura Coates and Bill Maher why the Democratic Party is losing so many male working class voters. Let's check it out.
So I was mentioning in the monologue, there's some sobering statistics for the Democrats this week about the election, which is only a little over 3 weeks away. I'm taking this from Andrew Sullivan's column. He says at this point in 2020, Biden, with far fewer resources than Harris has, was 10 points ahead of Trump. And in 2016, Hillary was 6 up. And she is only 2.6 up. Pennsylvania, Biden was up 7 at this point. She's up 1. Michigan, Biden was up 8, and she's tied. It does not seem like she is closing the deal. This week she did a media blitz she went to Howard Stern and Stephen Colbert and The View, places where, you know, I would say the ass is pre-kissed. Am I wrong?
No.
Did that help or hurt?
No, I think Kamala Harris just had the worst week of her campaign so far and has been trending downward for quite some time now. Donald Trump, at this point, I think is very likely to almost certain to win the election, and I appreciate the opportunity to tell people why. I'll remember that, by the way. Kamala Harris has to explain, while she's a part of the Biden administration, second in command, you had some of the worst statistics you could possibly imagine as a politician. Hold on, I'm going to get there. Worst inflation in 40 years while Biden is president. First time you have over 100,000 opioid deaths while Biden is president. Probably the worst open border in the history of the country, 8 million at least. And that's not including the 500,000 a year that are gotaways. So roughly 10 million people, you could call it, in 4 years entering illegally, almost all of whom are going to stay. Now, she doesn't want to throw Biden under the bus for this, and she didn't want to tell everybody that he's a dementia patient, so she decided that she was going to go along. It's just the facts, everybody. You get mad at me. Okay. She decided that she was going to go along with this until it was no longer possible because of the debate, and that's what she inherited. I haven't even gotten to her campaign yet.
Right. Couple great points made there. You gotta love how Bill Maher said the ass was pre-kissed. That cracks me up, and it also, you know, is reminiscent of the other shows that she's gone on as well. You gotta love how Bill Maher admitted that Kamala Harris's ass was pre-kissed before she went on The View, and that also was pretty much the case with all the other shows that she's been going on, Stephen Colbert, Howard Stern, countless other ones, right? Even probably 60 Minutes, which maybe not 60 Minutes, just because he did kind of give her some difficult questions and kind of didn't let her gloss over it with word salad, although, you know, they didn't treat her the way that they treated Donald Trump in the past. We'll just say that. And I also want to point out that Bill Maher's audience is definitely pretty far left. I mean, they're at least on the Democratic side, right? I don't want to say they're far left, but my point is this audience isn't full of a bunch of Republicans or anything like that. You can tell by the things that they cheered for and the things that they kind of weren't really trying to hear, right? But the next part is where it gets even better.
I'm glad, it's an eloquent point, and I'm glad you got to make the eloquent point, telling working class voters who are men in particular, but white working class male voters in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, sorry, bro, the progress means that no one can speak for you and no one can be in favor of your interests.
But aren't working class people also
people who are going to be
color?
confused.
Why is it just men? Women are working class as well, you realize.
No, of course, but we're speaking about masculinity and why Right, the topic at hand is why is it that the Republican Party is the party of guys who are, that talk about masculinity in traditional terms, that speak about courage, that speak about getting after it, that speak about taking risks. And the Democrats are, announce your pronouns, let's have boys pretend they're girls in the locker rooms, let's put tampons in the... This is just reality. They call him, what's his name?
I mean,
Tim
those
Walz.
things happen. They don't happen everywhere.
Well, but they happen in enough places that the Democrat Party won't condemn it. And so you ask why? Why are they okay with all of
courage
this?
Only a masculine quality?
These are... And see, here we go. It's not that it can't be a feminine quality as well, but then you get into this, what is the definition of masculinity that can be positive, that doesn't upset the feminists? There's nothing, you say, risk-taking, greater tolerance for dealing with like long hours at work, whatever it may be. Oh, that's terrible because you're disenfranchising women who have the same. Well, okay, but so the only masculinity is toxic masculinity. This is why Tim Walz, and it's not working, and he's going around telling everybody, look at me.
They do more dangerous jobs.
Yeah, of course.
That's just a fact.
Well said there by Buck. And it's crazy because the left has spent the last decade basically making all masculinity toxic, right? All they talk about is toxic masculinity. They never talk about true masculinity. And it's just funny to me because if you've seen that recent Kamala Harris White Guys for Kamala ad, I played it live on my podcast the last couple weeks, so you might have caught it there. And what the left has done in this process is basically labeled and made any man that's truly masculine a Donald Trump Republican, somebody on the right, a far right even. And it's funny that the left is the party that can't define who a woman is or what a woman is, ironically. Yet they're going to tell you what masculinity is. It's like, how can you do that? How can you define what masculinity is, especially when all it is toxic to you? But yet you can't even tell me what feminine is or what a woman is. I guess maybe you know what feminine is because you got a bunch of feminine dudes out there running campaign ads for Kamala Harris. The Guys for Kamala ad that is basically ridiculous. It's a bunch of feminine actors. And it's funny to me that the party who resists and won't explain and doesn't even know, frankly, what a woman is out here trying to tell Americans what masculinity really is, right? And going back to Bill Maher's original point where he was pointing out the current polls and things like that are showing Donald Trump taking the lead in a lot of the swing states, I want to show you what the updated poly market, which is the gambling market that people put their money where their mouth is, essentially money talks. And so over the weekend, now that we're into Monday, Donald Trump has gained 1.5 points since Saturday, which subsequently, Kamala Harris has lost that 1.5 points. So he's at 62.5% as opposed to Kamala's 37.5%. And you can see on the graph there that it is basically, let's go here to the last day. Oh no, that's not going to be far enough. Maybe the last month. There we go. And you can see that since October 1st, Donald Trump was losing to Kamala Harris by a point in these gambling markets and these betting markets, has completely taken the lead and opened up a huge gap. And in my opinion, it's because Kamala Harris has been doing all these far left ass-kissing, pre-ass-kissed interviews, like Bill Maher said. And Donald Trump has kept his nose to the grind. He's been actually using her own words against her and putting them in his own campaign ads. He'll just show her saying something on one of these interviews, and then he'll say, this message is approved by Donald Trump. And it's working because Kamala Harris, who has co-signed to everything that Joe Biden had done over the last 3.5 years, when given opportunities to separate herself from Joe Biden, hasn't. So all these failures, all of these examples that were given by Buck Sexton in this video are all true. Everything that happened under the Biden administration, Kamala Harris is responsible for as well. You can take it from her own mouth, right? And so anyways, we're getting down to the last 2.5 weeks-ish until the official election date. Early voting is open in a lot of states already. And I just want to encourage you to make sure you get out there and vote as soon as possible. And obviously, we want to vote for Donald Trump and Republicans down ticket just simply for the fact that we can't have Donald Trump be handcuffed by the House or Congress or anything like that, like he was in the first half of his first term. Hopefully, the people are willing to work with him more than they were in his first term as well, and he can get America back on the right track for Americans like you and me. And if you agree with that, you're certainly in the right place. So make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video, and I want to let you guys know a little reminder that I do go live every Saturday night at 8 p.m. So make sure you stop in and engage in the conversation, which is something I always look forward to. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.